Hey, what's up, YouTube? So today you might notice that I'm back to Spark, and I no longer have the Hateforge gloves anymore. The Hateforge experiment was okay, it wasn't the best, but I was able to kill Awakener 9 Deathless with it. It seems like it really excels in single target boss fights if you're able to charge up your attacks, because you can literally just lay down a bunch of lightning strikes shooting out projectiles before the boss is able to even do anything, and a lot of times the boss just instantly dies. However, the drawbacks to the build were just too much. It is not fun playing a build where you have to always have your flask up, and if you ever attack without your flask up, you're just unable to do anything for 4 seconds. It also was not fun to play a build that you have to wait 5 seconds or so at the beginning of the map, or 10 seconds, because you have to wait for your rage to hit 50 because you don't have much mana regen for Chainbreaker. And it just ended up being also that there wasn't enough points on the tree to take all of the flask effect while doing an aura stacker at the same time. So overall, aura stacker Hateforge highly do not recommend. The gloves are also probably incredibly overpriced for what they offer. They are a build enabling item, but the build is probably best played on a Pathfinder still, and it shouldn't be done on a CI build because you just don't have the points to do it on. But anyhow, I'm back to aura stacking with Spark again. I try to upgrade the gear a little bit. I'm going to try to perfect the gear. I don't really know what I will do later on with the build, but right now I'm just doing Inscribed Ultimatums. I did 3 Headhunter Gambles today, and I'm happy to tell you I succeeded them all. I did fail 1 gamble, and that was a 16 Exalt total loss, but I have learned my lesson on which ones not to do, and it is Lessened Reach with Ruin. Lessened Reach pretty much turns your character into a melee character, and the sparks do not travel far enough to freeze the ruin and kill them. So you just have a bunch of ruins shooting at you because you can't reach them with your spark. But overall, I really enjoy Spark still, and I also finally implemented my Glorious Vanity Jewel, so I'm gonna go over that in the gear overview. And then I'm gonna talk about the mouse cursor situation, what I think about it, and what free solution I have for everyone here so that they don't need to pay $10 for a mouse cursor that actually looks worse than what I currently have, which is this beautiful pink cursor, which you could actually change to any color or use some other image. But let's get straight into gear overview before we talk about that. So for the gear overview, we have, let's take a look. So I think most of my gear is exactly the same. We have the exact same nebulous, helm, necklace, shield, rings, boots, belt, and gloves. Now the changes we made was I finally added this Glorious Vanity in, and this number is 7556 for anyone who wants to snipe it. But I'm pretty sure this number is heavily sniped. I accidentally put this into one of my tabs the other day, and I instantly got like 10 different PMs about it for people wanting to buy for 1 Exalt. So this number here is 15% here, 4%, 15%, 14%. This gives us 48% for 7 total points, and it gives us 7% projectile speed. Now this changes our whole tree a little bit, so this means that we won't use so many I-84 clusters. So I swapped out some of my I-84 clusters to first amount replenishing. I'll probably swap out another one of these ones to first amount replenishing because we just don't have the skill points available to take it all. This means that our ES might go a little bit down, but I could probably try to fill out ES nodes here. Or, yeah, but basically 48% for 7 points. This changes everything for our aura effectiveness. So right now we're able to get to 350% because we add 40% in. Because right now I'm actually running 3 purposeful harbingers. So I have one here, and one here. Because the last purposeful harbinger gives us 8% aura effect, and first amount replenishing only gives us 6%. So in reality, it's actually beneficial to have 3 purposeful harbingers if possible. You do lose the skill effect duration of non-cursed auras, and you also lose the you also lose the replenishing presence for regen if you choose that instead. But aura effect is king at the moment, so right now we have 351% because this running 3 of these gives us the 40% bonus total. So 351% opens up a breakpoint for, let's see, the necromancer bonus. So Gives us 7% attack and cast speed for our auras instead of 6%. You can see that our damage is a lot higher without RF. With RF, we're at 1.159. So aura effectiveness is still incredibly good for damage purposes if they're really point efficient. So each one of these points are pretty much equivalent to over 6%, almost 8% aura effect per point. But that's why this is so expensive. Like, I got this a while ago and I didn't put it in because I wanted to see how big of a difference it really was. And it turns out the difference is pretty big when you get more aura effect. Your character will feel much, much stronger at 350% than 300%. And I highly recommend it. It's kind of a shame we can't get to 400% this league, but maybe we can with some weird shenanigans. I'm not really sure. But I'll try to figure out a way. It would probably have to involve using a helmet that has the synth implicit of 15%, and then also using a shield with 10%. That also means that we'll need RMR clusters, but that's neither here or there, as that's pretty far upgrade in the future. So I know a lot of people suffer to get CB. You could actually pick up a Corrupted Blood first amount replenishing cluster very, very cheap. So you don't need to get a CB actual jewel. I think you can get this for like 2 to 3 exalts. Now, if you're also starting out, you can also buy first amount replenishings with 1% cold pen for around like, I think only like 1 to 2x. That's because a lot of people are corrupting these to get 1% reduced skill reservation, and they have a lot of these bricked ones to sell off, so you can get a lot of cold pen ones for relatively cheap, sometimes with like chaos res on it too. So in the end, we can't really use so many 84 clusters because we don't have the points to take it. So I think the ideal amount is probably 284 clusters if possible, and then the rest with first amount of replenishings. That means we probably lose a bit of chaos res and ES, but we'll gain back some skill points and we can probably put it into here to make up for it. Chaos res might be an issue again for a little bit, but I think 2, maybe we could use 3 clusters. If we swap out this one, that was level 100, then it would be fine. But overall, the build feels a lot better with this Glorious Vanity swap and like swapping over some of these RMR Corrupted Blood jewels. So I have this Corrupted Blood cluster now, and then this Cold Pen one. Those are the 2 changes I made. And having the Corrupted Blood cluster was important because I was using a Might of the Beak Corrupted Blood, but I finally upgraded to a reduced skill reservation Might of the Meek. And I think this one actually cost me like 18 exalts, and then this one over here cost me 28 exalts. So these were items that I said at the beginning of the league to buy if possible, because they would get a lot more expensive. And you see here, they did get a lot more expensive. Oh, it's 25x now. I guess I overpaid for it by a little bit. And this is like 15x. So yeah, a lot of the prices vary widely. I know some people paid only 19 exalts for this, but it really just depends on who's selling it and how low they're willing to go and how desperate they are, because the supply is honestly so low, and it's all just about supply and demand, right? So if no one wants to buy it, they'll lower it a lot. But sometimes someone like me, I'm really desperate to actually play the build. I couldn't get it working. You can see I only have 51 mana. I really needed every bit of reduced skill reservation I could get. So at this point, for like overall upgrades, the most important thing will be to get RMR clusters. And I know that's pretty unrealistic for most people here, because you're literally playing like 60 exalts for a medium cluster. But without RMR clusters, we can't really take this build to the next level. RMR clusters allows us to use like tri-multi jewels with ES, or double multi with ES jewels. It also allows us to run more auras. It also allows us to drop our helm and use a 15% helm. It also allows us to one day play CI, because we will have the reduced reservation we need. Another thing I could possibly do is try to use another voices and swap out this whole setup so that I have even more aura effect, and that might be the solution to get to 400%. And that means we'll probably lose this cluster here, but it could be worth it. So we'll see what happens. I might swap to 3 voices sooner or later, but that means I'll probably get a voices 3 here. Voices 1 would be an insane upgrade, but that's just so far in the future. So you can see at this point, like overall the gear is really good, but there's still so many upgrades you could do to take this build to the next level. But in reality, this build is already able to do every single content in the game. I had a viewer troll me today. They gave me a fear to do with any mod they wanted to roll on it, and they corrupted it, so I couldn't see what they were. And I was able to do it with a few deaths, but it was like increased AoE and like try HP mods. But overall, the build is well on its way to immortality one day, but I think CI might be in its future. But CI is just so much less damage. But in the Inscribed Ultimatums I'm doing, I'm not even turning on RF, so it could be a big benefit. And now I wanted to go over the mouse cursor situation because, as everyone knows, GGG released their own mouse cursor pack. So here is the new mouse cursor pack that GGG promised, or not promised us, but delivered. As you can see, there's a lot of different ones here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 named after the emblems, the Legion emblems. And they're pretty cool looking, but they actually cost money, which is actually sad. You can see how downvoted this video actually is, which is kind of crazy. Because we should all be loyal fans of the game, right? But if you do want to buy them, they're right here. It's a cursor pack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cursors for $10. Now, a lot of games, this is kind of a free edition, but you can see YoloMouse looks like this, but they actually gave us one free cursor. Now, for everyone who doesn't know where to go if you buy the cursor, or they want to use the free cursor, you have to go to here. It's actually a microtransaction slot. So now it looks like this. Man, when I use this, it looks so much worse than the actual YoloMouse. Now, there's some settings in here for the input that you can see. So right here, there is enable hover cursor. And I think hover cursor just makes it look, I'm actually not really sure what this does. I think it changes it to make it look higher contrast. Let's see. I don't think it actually does anything when you hover, but it does look different when you have this checked and when you don't have it checked. Now, enable clicked cursor, I think, yeah, it does a little click action when you click something, so that looks kind of cool. It kind of makes it feel a little more responsive, like when you click it. But if you're using YoloMouse, you have to disable enable hover cursor, because this enable hover cursor actually breaks YoloMouse. So I actually don't recommend any of these cursors because the high contrast cursor and all the other ones just look so much worse than this one. YoloMouse is the program I use, and I highly recommend other people to do it because YoloMouse is actually free. I think you can actually download one of the earlier versions of this and you can actually get it for free. It actually says free, 100% safe. So I'll put this link in the video, and I can probably... And YoloMouse is just a joy to use. You can actually change the color, you can change the actual shape of it and what image you want to use, I think. But I highly recommend this cursor over GGG's because GGG's is actually cost $10, which I think is kind of high for like a price for something that a lot of games include for free. But I get it that they have to make money somehow, and that we probably will forget that they actually added this, and a lot of people will buy it because they do have a lot of spare points. And they did give us a free one, and I think this is definitely better than whatever was you're supposed to use regularly. But that's just my 2 cents about the cursor. I just recommend YoloMouse. It's free, and a lot of people actually ask me on stream all the time like what cursor I'm using, and the answer is YoloMouse, and it actually costs no money at all. So right now I want to show you guys a clip of this 8 Exalt Ultimatum I failed and why I failed it. So this build is pretty good at Inscribed Ultimatums in general, and Inscribed Ultimatums are the best money in the game. I think if you can buy it constantly with snipes and just get a 1 Exalt profit every time. So this is an 8 Exalt one. If you fail this one, you pretty much lose 16 Exalts, maybe 15 Exalts if you buy this for 7 Exalts. So you can see here, this is a lessened reach with Ruin 1, I think, only. And lessened reach is just really bad with snow circles, because lessened reach means that your sparks don't travel that far. As you can see, when I put the spark down, it looks like it's pretty much a melee skill. At the start, it's not too bad because I don't think as many ruins spawn at the start, but later on you can see those. So a lot of people actually also ask me like, what is ruin? So ruin are those little blue little ghosts that you see shooting out the little projectiles. Like you can see it every now and then, and they actually do hit you. So you can see there's some down there. I actually finally got hit for 1. It's actually crazy. I was like doing pretty well, and then I don't know what happened. I think more and more ruin just started to spawn. So you can see that the spark just does not reach far enough to hit all of the ruin. So at this point, I think I'm chilling actually, and I'm just like having a good time. Like, usually the main strategy is to just go in a circle, move around a little bit, and then you won't get hit. Like, I'm not really sure why it went so badly. I think the main reason is because I never went to the middle to clear out the ruin, and it just ended up being like it just got overwhelming. So you can see like that the spark just doesn't travel that far. At this point, I'm still chilling, right? I'm at 2 ruin stacks. The thing is almost done, I feel like. So I feel like I'm in a good state, right? I can't really see how much more progress is left, but I'm at 3 now. I'm almost done, right? Did I actually fail this one? Because I know I've done a lot of ones with like Lesson Reach and Ruin, but I think this might be a fail. So I'm still just going around. I'm getting a little more cautious about it. But right now it's still not too bad. So you can see that sometimes it's all it takes is a little bit of like mishaps, a few like ruins just hitting you chain in a row, and everything just turns into shit. So now we're still at 3. It's getting pretty scary. But basically the only things we should avoid on our build is treacherous auras and ruin combined with lesson reach. If you see ruin with lesson reach, please avoid it like a plague, even if it's only ruin 1. You see I got hit there, but this should almost be done, I think. But is this the one? When am I gonna get to 6? So you can see my strategy is generally you get to the circle, you move around a little bit, you see if the ruin has gotten close to you, and then as soon as they get onto you, you immediately move on to the next circle. So I just make this big counter clockwise. You can go counterclockwise or counterclockwise, either is fine. So now I'm at 5, and when you're at 5, it starts getting bad. Now I'm at 6, and now it's when it's very nerve-wracking, and I'm kind of like, I think this was actually very close to being finished. Man, watching this just makes me feel so bad. Like, I just lost like 16 exalts. And if you fail one of these, this could wipe out like 2 hours of work. This is like 16 ultimatums you do of a 1 exalt profit. I mean, I feel like I'm actually really close. It's a shame I can't actually see it because my head is blocking the way. I think right here I die. I just run into a ruin. There's just too many in the middle. Again, I should have probably cleared it out. Because you can see there's just so many ruin in the middle. You see those little blue ghosts? Those are exactly what are the ones that hit, and I failed, and no exalts come out. So that should help everyone out who like don't really like know or can't see ruin. And it's just those things in the middle right here that shoot the little bolts out, and that's the difference between ruin and stalking ruin. So ruin lesson reach is a no-go. You can see here middle has a lot of ruin because I never ran through the middle. So if you want to actually try this, I would attempt to clear out the middle every now and then so you don't get sniped off by one of the ruin the sides. Let's see this again one more time for the loss, and yeah, I don't even know where I got hit by. But usually if you don't have lesson reach, the spark will travel far enough to go into the middle and you won't get hit. So yep, it just happens sometimes. Like I said before, you do these enough, you're bound to fail sooner or later. But if you never fail, best money maker in the game outside of flipping and crafting. Now, I took some even bigger risk after I failed that Inscribed Ultimatum. I did 3 Headhunter ones, so I want to show all of them. And then I want to show you guys a clip of the Hate Forge Aura Stacker killing A9 Deathless. It's actually quite surprising. Its boss damage is so good, but it's just a really good bossing ability. So if you want to play a Hate Forge build, play it on a Pathfinder instead, and you'll thank me for it instead of an Aura Stacker. But overall, I hope you enjoyed these clips, and they should be quite good because the Headhunter Gamble was actually pretty nerve-wracking on one of them. To protect the altar was actually really, really scary. I hope everyone enjoyed all of the gambling with the headhunters. They weren't my ultimatum, so if I actually lost them, I would have just given the person my headhunter. The person paid me like 5 exalts to 6 exalts for each one of them. So it was pretty good money, and I made back the money I lost from the 16 exalt ultimatum I showed you guys, but it was pretty scary. Even on the easy ones like the feet waves of enemies, you never know what might happen. I would hate to do a stone circle one and a headhunter one, because that could just be the end of me. I can just imagine having 6 ruin and then me just having a panic attack pretty much. But the Hate Forge build was kind of a failure. It was good and all. The damage was really good, but the survivability just could never get there because there's too many points was being spent on flask effectiveness. But if you enjoy the content, be sure to like and subscribe. I stream every day on Twitch, so you can check me out there. And thanks for watching, and I hope you find more headhunters than I do. See you later.